I didn't come here to slander anyone's name. I came here to set the truth straight and show the evidence.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite the pod coming your way once again. After Sawyer shook the world last week a little bit with his comments coming after Drew Davis is coming on. Jack, he did not hold back.
If you guys were at all entertained by last episode, I suggest you stick around because there were times I was struggling to contain myself from laughter just at the situation. So I think you guys will really enjoy it.
You will. And me and Jack got into it ourselves in the second half of the episode, doing Q of the Day and Comment of the Week, our NFL chat, and talking about the awards show. But first half of the podcast was pretty much just me and Jack and a bowl of popcorn, letting Drew do his thing. So definitely this is a must listen and must see pod from the studio. And I appreciate you guys coming back once again after a great response to the last episode. So without further ado, this is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. And we have done it. We've got the man who has been more requested than anybody else in Pipe It Up history for an interview this week, and that is Drew Crash Davis of the Coastal Cobras. Drew, way to be a man of the people, being a man of your word, and showing up today. Appreciate it.
Listen, I won't say I'm surprised that I'm the most requested person to be on your podcast. I will say that it doesn't take me as a surprise. So
okay, humble, good start.
Just as humble as Sawyer was on our last episode. That's good.
You just set me up for that though. Like I had to take it. I had to take it.
We did. But no, obviously Sawyer had some choice words last week, and he didn't hold back much about his opinions about your management style and how he was treated on the Cobras and how he wanted out, all that stuff. And to no surprise at all, fans responded in the comments being mostly negative towards you. You did have some defenders, which I loved, but a lot of people were saying, wow, I can't believe
Red Swimmer.
Sawyer. Yeah. A lot of people were saying, I can't believe Drew did this to Sawyer. Thank God Sawyer got out of there. Drew's management has cost them multiple World Series, whatever. And me being the host of the show, of course, wanted to let Sawyer speak, but I did feel bad that you weren't present on the call to stick up for yourself, so I'm really glad you're here today. And this is your chance to kind of do that. I do have some questions for you, but the floor is sort of yours here to clear the air and to defend your name. That's kind of what the goal is here today to start the show. So go right ahead. Drew.
I don't know if this sounds good to you. I don't know how you want to do this. Like, I got some points I want to make. So should I just run through my points and then you ask me questions after? Or do you want to interject? Like, how do you want to do this?
I think if you got bullet points you want to hit, if you got a presentation prepared, Drew, you go right ahead, man. This is the floor is yours, like I said.
I don't have like a presentation, but I do have some notes.
Okay, I know. I was saying that as a figure of speech. Go ahead.
I did have a somewhat mild concussion this past week, so I wanted to write things down so I didn't forget them. I've been dealing with a lot of memory loss, so I did want to write things down. I'm prepped and ready to talk. I was just on the radio, so my words should be as smooth as water. But first off, I will say that a lot of the stuff in the podcast was just straight up news to me, was just like new information that I didn't even know existed. The first thing that really caught me off guard was, I don't know, this may not be in chronological order, but Sawyer did say that he approached Kyle and asked for a trade, which was news to me because I was never approached by Sawyer about him wanting to be traded ever, or him even saying that he wanted to be traded, or him saying he might want to be traded, or him that he didn't want to play for the Cobras. That conversation never happened to me. And I was also never told by Kyle that someone from my team approached him and wanted to be traded. So that was news to me. It was also news to me that the Gators were the number one option for him because, again, like, I didn't know this. And so maybe that's true, but Kyle never told me, so I questioned the validity of whether that happened. And then also, I'm confused on why he's taught like the Gators were this number one option, because there was a trade for him to the Gators in the middle of last season, and the only reason it didn't go through was because he was the only person to veto it. So the trade would have gone through if he approved, and he was the one person to veto it. And so that is why it's like weird to me that he said he requested a trade, but and the Gators were his number one option.
Quick objection.
We had a trade set in place.
Quick objection.
What? Jack?
I don't know. This is Tom speaking here. I don't know. This is from my side of the story. Yes, there was the trade rumors last year right at the deadline, basically past the deadline, saying that Sawyer could go to the Gators. And what I was sort of told is that it was just too little too late, Drew, because I think the Gators had a series like the very next day, and then Sawyer wasn't going to make it for that series, and then the trade wouldn't have worked because if we can't have a trade where guys doesn't show up for the series. So that was kind of the story that I was told. I have no idea what actually happened. This is turning into a he said, she said thing. But continue.
I'll tell you exactly what.
No,
I'll tell you exactly
it's okay. You already told your story. It's okay.
I have a text from Kyle. Kyle said, if Sawyer says yes, then yes, it can work out. If he says no, it can't. And the series was 2 days away. And the reason that the trade couldn't go through before, because people may ask, well, Drew, why didn't you just ask me before? It was because we had a series in St. Louis, and I wasn't going to approach him about being traded because we needed to win that game, not only to keep ourselves in the playoffs, but also for the trades conditions were set on whether or not we won one game in that series or not. So if we would have gotten swept, it wouldn't have even mattered. So we couldn't just be like, hey, we might trade you, because then why would he perform or want to come to the series? We needed to win that game. So that was why it was such a quick turnaround. But yeah, we did alert him. We said, hey, we have this trade request. The Gators play in 2 days. You would need to show up for that series or whatever. And he said, no. Yeah. And so it didn't work out. It was he basically asked, would it be possible to do it next season? And I said, no, because it wouldn't work, because if we lose, then we have the second pick and we're not going to give up the second pick. And if we win, then it won't matter because we don't need Jorge if we win. So anyways, the other point that I want to touch on was him saying that we didn't believe in him, which I also think is a little, I can't discredit someone's emotions and feelings if he felt that way. Maybe I wish he would have told me, because again, we didn't know that we didn't believe in him. He did pitch more innings than Behen this year. So I feel like we kind of are somewhat of a results-based playtime thing. In his rookie year, we started him off slow. He started to produce more. We started hitting him more. I feel like I was his rookie year, especially in 2022, when he was talking a lot and he was fired up and I loved it. There were a lot of fans, and a lot of not only fans, but players in the league who were not happy with how he was acting and the stuff he was doing. And I think I was his biggest defender we had the whole Preds debacle. Alec and I worked it out, but I was all up defending Sawyer. I was listen, he's young, he's doing his thing. I was in everyone's face for him. So to me, it's kind of like a slap in my face to say I didn't believe in him, when all I feel like I did was defend this guy and give him chances. Because I know that was especially in regards to his World Series talk. Mm-hmm. I think that it's taken maybe a little bit out of context. I'd like to explain. To be honest, I don't really know what people are all up in arms about. So the situation was basically we had to play game 3 on a new day. We carried in extra innings. So we go into extra innings, and the order went Heath, Shima, and then Norp. So we let Sawyer know, because it was the beginning of a brand new day. No one's thrown. I just said, if 2 guys get on and Norp comes up, we're going to put Behen in. We don't want to pitch to Norp. But we obviously, if 2 guys gets on, you can't just walk the bases loaded, have no outs. And Behen, if you go through the track record, statistically, Behen walks less people. Behen's one of the best strike throwers in the league. If you look at this year's stats, I don't know what it was last year, but this year, Sawyer walked more than double the people that Behen walked. So Behen throws strikes. So if 2 people were to get on, we were basically saying we need to put Behen in because we need to throw strikes. People are saying that pulling a guy after two people being put on is too hardcore. I feel like I was just being straight up. I'd rather just be honest, instead of him putting 2 guys on and then taking him out, because what happened 2 innings later was we didn't prep for when we were going to sub in Behen. And there was a couple base runners, I think 1 run scored, and I went to go take him out. And I'm sure, Tom, you remember this. I got yelled at by him that he wasn't coming out of the game. And so we kept him in the game. And then 7 runs later, we're down, which I take more responsibility as a manager. Like, that should be my job to not care what that player says. If I deem it's in the best case for the team to sub that pitcher in, that should just be what happens. But I let my emotions get the best of me, and I kept him in, which I shouldn't have done. But
it's hard.
Again,
it's hard
is why
to deal with stuff like that.
Yeah, so that was why I was just being honest. I've been a part of this, like being a baseball player, especially as a catcher. I've been a part of those conversations with pitching coaches, with pitchers, where we basically, like, when a pitcher is getting later into the games, we prep them like, hey, this is what's going to happen. Like, if you go strong, we're going to keep you in. But once you get in danger, then we're putting you in the bullpen. Like, I don't necessarily see the problem with that. I've talked to a couple people about it. Like, I do agree. There's maybe some better ways I could have said it, but I feel like people are just like, oh, you didn't give him any encouragement. But to say I don't like tell him like, hey, you got this. Like, I mean, Sean and I are always behind him being like, yo, you got this. Like take deep breaths, control the game. Like, it wasn't like I was just being a jerk and just saying like, hey, we don't believe in you. So it was more just prepping him for this situation. If 2 guys get on, we need to put in our Cy Young. Let's not forget our Cy Young pitcher in for the best hitter in the league. So that was where we were coming from. In regards to us being losers, I don't know. I didn't like that when he called me basically a loser who gives up on series. I don't think I ever give up in games. I may look a little down, and that's just my frustration. And I do got to get better at kind of controlling my emotions. But to say I just gave up on games, I think is insulting. I never gave up on games. Sure, there are times when we don't put our best lineup out. The 2 examples being the game 3 of the Magic and the game 3 of the Preds. And I will say that game 3 of the Magic, Sawyer brought up the fact that why didn't we put in those guys in game 2 and then game 3, like put in our best lineup. The reason being because if we would have won game 2, game 3 would have then become consequential. If we would have swept the Magic, then our possibility of making the playoffs would have been slightly better, because us sweeping the Magic would have made it so that if the Wildcats got swept by the Eagles that next series, we would have jumped the Wildcats. But us beating the Magic 1 game or 2 games did not matter in terms of us making the playoffs over the Preds. If we would have won 2 games versus the Magic, we still would have had to win 2 out of 3 versus the Preds, just like we would have if we would have won 1 game. So once we lost game 2, game 3 did not matter. It mathematically didn't matter for us in terms of making the playoffs. And personally, we have guys on the team who not only spend time, effort, but also their own money to like make it to series and be in this league. And they don't get much playing time. And if they're going to make the trip all the way down to St. Louis, knowing that they're probably not going to get in, like, this might be their only chance. This might be their only time to do that, because next season, if we play another out-of-state series and and we need to win those games, they're not going to get in. So the fact that we had this opportunity to allow them to get in the game, like, I was going to take advantage of that. Also, we have been having pitching problems all year. Like, I had been practicing a little bit. I wanted to get out there and see what I had. And Jack, I didn't think I did. I mean, you hit a grand slam off me. Like, that was props. But like, I thought it wasn't like I was just out there fooling around. Like, I was trying to get you guys out. I wasn't just like fooling around out there.
No, I wouldn't say you were fooling around. The way I remember it was what you were struggling with was you were throwing too hard. I think you were a little juiced up.
Yeah.
And you couldn't, your stuff was moving, but you were just like way over the speed limit. Probably just because you hadn't practiced, or, you hadn't been live very much that season. But no, you definitely weren't like, just messing around.
Yeah, so I just take it as a big shot at me. I find myself to be the most competitive person I know, and I'm sure every competitive person says that. So I'm not saying that I am. That's how I view myself. So to say that like I would give up on games and that I'm a loser and have a losing mentality I just find insulting.
Was that a direct quote? Did he call you a loser? I don't remember that.
I didn't think he called me a loser.
I don't remember that part of the episode, but I might have to listen back.
Me loser,
hey, he's concussed, Jack. Cut him some slack. He is concussed.
But I was told that I give up and that I don't care about win. Oh, he did say that, which I don't understand this quote. He said that when we were losing, I was playing not to win, but I was playing not to lose. But if you're already losing, what does that mean? Doesn't that mean you're trying to win?
It's a lot of knots. It's a lot of knots.
Right.
It's a lot of knots. I don't have the podcast script in front of me. I don't have the transcript from last week's episode, but
that was the transcript.
A lot was said.
I just watched it, Tom.
I know.
I just watched it for the fourth.
I know a lot was said. Like I said, I was feeling for you, and I felt bad that you weren't present to stick up for yourself. So that's why you're here now doing that. Furthermore, and listen, again, I know I'm hot right now. I know I'm running hot. I'm not trying to slander anybody. And I wish you were on a podium right now and we had our audience just live and you were just banging the podium like Dwight Schrute at the shareholder meeting. Like, this would be epic.
And listen, I'm not trying to convince anyone of anything, okay? If you hate me, you're probably going to hate me already. If you dislike me, you're probably still going to continue disliking me. I don't really care, okay? But I didn't want this to happen. Like, this did not need to happen if last week's podcast either didn't happen or just went differently. Like, a lot of that stuff didn't need to be said, but like, that's why I'm here. And so, so again, another point I wanted to bring up, connecting to the fact that we give up and we don't care about winning. Okay. There was never a problem with that, except for one person who we had to tell Sean and I, me, multiple times to run to first base when they popped up or grounded out. To run to first base because you never know what happens. And in a game this year that would have mattered against the Eagles, there was a situation where said player who voiced that we gave up on games didn't run to first base. They would have been safe if they did, and it would have gave us a run, and we would have tied the game, but we ended up losing by a run. So the fact that that person is now saying that we give up on games and it's causing, but their actions directly was the cause of us not tying a game. So it's just mind boggling, Tom. It's mind boggling.
I think, Jack, I have a business plan for this podcast. Every other guest. Go ahead, Drew.
If you don't believe me, like this is the thing. I come with evidence. I come with facts. Eagles, game 2, top of the third inning. Go check the tape, okay? Can you see this vein right here, Tom? Can you see this popping out? You see how hot I am right now?
If I look close, a little bit, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I come bearing evidence. I don't come speaking fables, okay?
Gosh, it is a real shame the Cobras and Gators don't play next season. I'll tell you what, we got to do something about that, I think, Jack.
What's your business plan? I want to hear Tom's business plan real quick.
Jack, you go ahead.
Take a drink of water for a sec, Drew.
Yeah, some water, Drew.
Take a sip of water.
Gather your thoughts. Give us about 5-10 minutes more, Drew, and then we're gonna have to cut you off. But Jack, business plan is this. Any other segment, agenda, whatever it may be, other guests, throw it all away. It's just going to be alternating episodes. Drew Sawyer. Yeah. Never have them together. Always individual.
No.
And then they can just go back and forth.
Back and forth.
It's gold mine.
Back and forth.
Clickbait the title. Clickbait the thumbnail. Man, we'll be getting 10K a pod.
Twice in high school, boys. I took debate twice in high school. Okay.
I feel bad for the people that debated you.
Twice?
Yeah, Jack. Okay.
By choice, or was this a retake?
No, it was by choice. No, it was by choice. I didn't want to take I'd spent like 2 weeks in World Lit as a senior, and I said, this class blows. I'm going to go take debate again.
Okay. All right. Any more bullet points, Drew? Anyway, wrap it up.
Two more. Okay. Going into the Pred series, Sawyer talked about how he felt he should have been the ace pitcher. He should have been the number one. Going into that series, they had practically I don't even know, because I went back and looked at the thing. Sawyer ended with a better ERA, but in Barron's last game, he let up 4 runs. So that would mean going into the Pred series, they had around the same ERA, if not minuscule differences. The only difference would be Sawyer had more wins, like he said. But me, coming from a baseball mind, I think wins and losses for a pitcher are useless. They don't tell the full story. You could have 10 wins and 0 losses, but you could let up 8 runs a game if your offense just scores 9 runs. Like, sure, it does mean something a little bit if you win a lot, but again, it's situational based. We didn't put up runs in the games Barron was pitching. And that's not saying like that correlation is not always equal causation. Okay. So at the time, Barron had the same ERA as him. The only difference was Barron had a better whip by like a full 1. So
what was his WOBA?
I don't know. That's a question for Sean. And he let up 1 run in the first game. So then saying like he lost, so we should have put in the next pitcher. But it's not as simple. It's not black and white. It's just like you win or lose. Like they let up 1 run, and I don't remember. Maybe it was a homer, like a solo homer, or like a couple hits. I don't know. But 1 run is like so small. So I don't know why. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. And then the last thing I will say is that we got criticized for not practicing. What I'll say to that is, I don't know if people really understand how hard it is, especially if your team lives far away, how hard practicing is with your team. I mean, we've got 2 guys who not only live in Grand Rapids, but those guys play in, like, Sawyer plays in 3 leagues. And Barron plays in 2 or 3, and we live 3 hours from them. So name me a time when you can get 3 hours. I was working 3 jobs last year. All right. So name me a time when you're able to practice. And at the end of the day, like, how much practice do you need if you're playing every day? I mean, like, it was to the point where pitchers are showing up to our series is telling us that they pitched a full game yesterday and that their arms are a little sore. So, like, how much practice do you need?
Are we talking about practice?
We're talking about
Straight
practice,
up.
Jack.
Are we talking about practice?
Practice.
Not the game.
I mean, I would love to get more practicing, guys. I would, but we're adults and we have busy schedules. Okay.
This is ironic, Drew, because Jack and I later in this episode have a cue of the day in regards to practice. So this is a perfect segue.
Perfect.
Yeah. The Cobras have had 1 team practice and I think, or maybe 2 team practices in 6 years.
How many championships in those 6 years?
0.
I'm just pulling your leg, brother.
No,
that's a fair point. It's almost impossible to get together.
It's
Me and
tough.
Jack talked about it for 5-10 minutes.
Dog, I try my hardest to keep our team, like, to be like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, I'm asking people on my, like, I asked these people where they wanted to bat in the lineup, and like giving them what they want because they're saying they're too uncomfortable to bat in other places in the lineup. So I'm changing what I think is best because they're telling me that they don't feel comfortable in that position, which I feel like is what a manager does.
So, okay. So I think we've given Drew his soapbox here.
Go ahead.
Because I do want to at least give the listeners like some perspective on, because you kind of responded now to Sawyer's comments from the last episode. But you also kind of like, in a joking way, I felt like talked about, the trade during the award show video a little bit. But like, if you could give them something, because I think that's where a lot of the shade to you is coming, is like, if you look at it straight up, just production wise, it doesn't really seem like a trade that benefits the Cobras, giving up Sawyer and getting Zerlag. Obviously, there's a lot of other factors at play here. I think we've figured that out over the last 25 minutes. But just like what in your mind, why Zerlag? Like why did the deal work out this way? And like how do you envision using Zerlag in the Cobras organization?
Okay, yeah. Why I feel like why the Gators, why Zerlag are one but 2 separate questions, but they're kind of the same. The Gators were really the only option for like they were the only landing spot they were the only people we were getting takers from. They were the only people like wanting to trade. So, and why Zerlag? Personally, like you can go back and forth on how much chemistry plays a role. Sometimes I think it does play a bigger role. Sometimes I think it doesn't. Brendan is Zerlag's really good. I'm really good friends with Zerlag. Zerlag's really good friends with Flynn. Like you guys have stated, him and Caden Irwin I feel like are two peas in a pod for me. Like, I'm coming for him next, Tom. Okay. I'm coming for him next.
All right. Cook me up something good.
But those are two guys. The Zerleg's a guy I've wanted to play with for a while, and people might look at his last couple seasons and be like, he's not been doing good. But I did a whole analysis on this man's swing. Okay, like I see something there. Like just because you guys think he's bottom of the barrel doesn't mean he is. You just got to make a couple adjustments. Like I really do. I see the things that he did well in 2021, and a lot of the pitchers that he was like, sure, some of the new faces are in some of the talent coming in is awesome and is really good. But some of the guys he was facing and doing well off of are still like doing well in today's league. So I think like if we can get him to make those same adjustments that he made in 2021, and if you want to go see him, just go check out the video. I did a whole thing on it. I think like he could. I already predicted. I think he will be a 240, 260 hitter next year with at least 3 homers.
All right.
And if you don't think that's good, that's statistically compared to what our hitters were last year will be an improvement.
So
that will be the poll on Spotify this week. Will Zerlag hit above 240? Let us know your results. And if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you vote.
So follow up question on that.
I will also say, sorry, okay, to what you said too, because it plays in. We do know that we want to get a second arm in the draft, and I do have another bat that I plan on trying to sign as a UDFA, and so we just needed to make room on the roster.
Okay, understood. So that was kind of going to be my follow up question there. You know. Again, in the award show video, there was kind of a joke made about like Zerlag pitching. I don't really think he has what it takes as a pitcher in this league, and that Zerlag, that's coming from someone who definitely doesn't have what it takes to be a pitcher in this league. But that being said, you know, you lose a pretty crucial arm in Sawyer. So you gotta think you're looking pitcher, you know, in the draft, like solely pitcher, right?
Yep. We're looking for a pitcher. In the draft, we have a bat that I want to sign. He might be able to throw. I've talked to him a little bit. He said like he's done it before. But him, I think he'll slip in the draft. So I plan on trying to get him as a UDFA. He's been in the draft board for 2 years now and no one's got him. So I'm going to try and get him as a free agent this year. Sign a number 2 arm with the draft. I'm also going to be throwing a little bit more. My arm's feeling a little bit better. I don't get the nerve stuff as much. So I'm hoping that can kind of help with the control if I can throw like maybe once a week, to tone things in. So we'll see. I'm not saying I'm going to come out and be like, I'm emergency. I'm the emergency arm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, Drew, I appreciate you coming on. Tom,
you got no questions?
I mean, I gave you the floor, and Jack asked the 2 I really wanted to ask. So
Tom, I know you have a question.
Here's what I want to say, Drew. Here's what I want to say. I just want to say that you know me out there. I'm a pretty reserved guy. I'm a quiet guy. I keep to myself. Whereas you, on the other hand, and Sawyer as well, you know, you speak your mind, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and you go for it, and you don't apologize for it. So there is something about that I do respect, despite you and I being different in that regard. And while we did beat you, I make the 2-0 lead jokes, and we beat you in that series, and I, of course, would rather win the World Series than I'd rather see the Cobras win. But I do think if somehow you guys have a good year, it'd be quite funny based on this offseason and all the flack you've gotten. Yeah. So best of luck to you and the Cubs.
Andy's coming back.
Andy's coming back?
He's done with football. His eligibility is out now. So he literally can't run. He can't go anywhere. He's going to be on the squad. Okay. I will say the joke I made in the award show, that was not written by me. So if anyone's saying like, oh, you were mean to Sawyer, that was not my joke. Okay. So don't come at me. Come at the script writers. All right. And again, like he said, like I got no hard feelings towards himself. Okay. I didn't like the comments he said about me, and I'm going to defend my team and myself, but I hope he does well. Okay. Hope the Gators do well. The league's better when every team does well.
That's true.
This is true.
That is true. If there's one true thing that's been said this podcast, it was that.
If anything we can book is true. What, Drew? What?
Tom, I wasn't trying to get this hot tonight. I wasn't trying to get this hot tonight. I'm hungry. Okay. Maybe I should have eaten, and maybe this wouldn't have happened like this.
You're recovering from a head trauma. Let's take it easy here. You did a great job. We appreciate you coming on.
Sip some more water.
And sip some water. Try to take it easy the next couple of days and rest up. The Cobras need you healthy come early May. But I do want to say thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate you making the time. I know it's tough with all of our schedules and whatnot. So, Drew, Cobra Nation's behind you, I think. The ones that are left. And I hope you prove the ones that left wrong. So, stay safe and stay healthy.
I'm going to miss you guys. I don't want to leave.
See ya. All right. Thank you so much to Drew Davis. Interesting interview. Interesting couple weeks on this podcast. A little bit of drama. I like it. Huh, Jack?
It's always nice to have a little bit of drama here and there. And Drew Davis he can always supply. I feel like, if we need some drama, we can always go to Drew.
He can. We're all a close bunch. We're all friends at the end of the day, but we keep it real around here. Hey, when someone's got a little beef sometimes, we try to hash it out. So that's what we did these last few weeks, and it's been fun. But let's get into the awards show video, Jack. We've kind of dragged out those conversations over the last couple weeks talking about who we voted for, who deserved the vote, looking at the ballot, all those sort of things. Now the results are finally out, and really not too many things that surprised me. How about yourself?
No, not really. I guess lack of drama in the awards show, because there wasn't too many
on here.
Right. There weren't too many surprises. I will just say, like, from my standpoint, it was really cool to see how many Magic players got awards. I felt like, the year I hosted the award show, I remember basically it was like every other award, I just gave it to Jimmy Norp. He almost won all of them that year, I swear. And that's kind of how I felt being there for this award. Not that it was one player on our team, but collectively, we won a good chunk of the awards. Even, hats off to Grant and RJ splitting the Rookie of the Year award. First time ever with co-winners. I'm not sure on the exact numbies, but I think they were almost too close to call, if that's right, Tom. And you guys ended up giving the fair split to them. So, nothing too shocking, nothing too crazy. But just really humbling and just cool to look back on the Magic season and see how really we had just so many players that stepped up in a lot of different ways and a lot of different times in the year.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Well-deserved awards, and it was a fun year for you guys. So you deserved it. Speaking of that close Rookie of the Year race, yes, I'll get into that vote a little bit. So it was a two-man race, although AJ was a candidate. It was Grant and RJ were getting almost all the votes. I think AJ only got 3% of the vote, something like that. But Grant and RJ, Jack, were within 1% of each other on the fan vote. So Kyle came to me and was like, they're within 1%. It's neck and neck. And just because of what we talked about, Jack, and what Sean talked about, their paths of being and what defines them as rookies as a whole, with Grant being close to 30 and an experienced wiffle ball player versus RJ, who's brand new to this game, although they're both brand new to the league. He thought it just made a lot of sense to give this award to both of them, given that their paths have been so different in their wiffle ball careers. So that's why we went the co-route. The fan vote was almost a tie in the grand scheme of things. So it made a lot of sense, and it was deserved for the both of them, I think.
Yeah, I think, and also, like Grant said kind of in his speech, it's such a cool thing about wiffle ball, right? It this splitting of this award embodies part of what wiffle ball is, right? Where you can have someone like Grant who's super experienced, he's been around the block, played wiffle ball for a bunch of years, and then you have someone like RJ who's only been playing for a few years. He's almost half his age, and they're able to share the same award in the same league. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, the other close vote I wanted to mention, Jack, was the Most Improved Award. And I think Sean kind of also talked about how he thought this would be the case. And I actually forget, Jack, do you remember who Sean wanted to give it to? I think it was Trey Flood.
Yeah, I think it was Trey. Yeah.
Yeah, Sean definitely favored pitching, I think, across many awards. So he gave the nod to Trey. The fan vote was very, very close amongst Jorgensen, Trey, Blade Walker, and Landon. But Jorgie did win the vote. And we weren't going to do a 4-way split for this one. So Jorgie got it. And I must say, Jorgie looked phenomenal out there. I mean, he was probably the best dressed, in my opinion.
I was going to say, if you had any reservations about Jorgie winning this award, he certainly deserved to be there at the award show. Absolutely showed out with his outfit. He brought the energy. That was great. Made for some great content in the video. Sean's point was interesting about, I think, if I'm remembering the conversation correctly, he kind of was waiting. He was waiting players more that sort of had never been good, had never performed well, which I didn't really think about it that way. I feel like most people sort of just thought of it as like year to year, who improved the most. So I'm interested to see like maybe, some of our listeners, if they look at that award a little bit different next year. I think I might consider it a little bit different next year, but I think Jorgie was well deserved. I mean, he came out of nowhere, and it was like, he had been solid before in seasons before, but was never really in like the upper echelon of hitters like he was this year. So I think that award again was very much deserved.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, he's been a solid player. He won a championship, but he's been around a while. 2020 was his first year, so we're talking 3 full seasons before this one, and he has never had a year at the plate as good as this year was. And he was also on the worst team he's been on in those 4 seasons. So it was impressive to me. He got my vote. I shared that with you, and I was happy for him. I think it was a well-deserved award. Now, you can make a case for all 4 of those guys. I'm not saying those other 4 guys didn't deserve the award, but Jorgie got the votes, and he's the one holding the trophy. So
it's just interesting what Sean said, because I think of like some guys that maybe had a down year this year, or in the future, like if we see them have down years, I don't know. I think I might think about it a little bit differently if I vote for most improved based on some of Sean's statistics there, which is good, right? That's why we have him on. Get the conversations flowing, get your gears turning.
Get the gears going a little bit here in the cold winter. You need it.
That's right.
You need it sometimes. But yeah, Jorgie, I would give the best dress to. Everybody looked pretty good. Jackson didn't really dress up, but he did show up, so we appreciated that. Jack, I will say your fit. Me and you were strategizing your fit a little bit. I like how it turned out with the Magic Champs gear. It looked cool, I think.
I had the opportunity to really abuse the Magic Champs gear. We obviously dropped the hat on the site, so wanted to promote that a little bit. If you guys haven't gone and ordered one, obviously, get them while they're hot. Get them while they're hot.
Get them while they're here, more so, Jack.
Yeah,
we don't have that many.
Exactly. So I might have gone a little overkill with the Champs gear, but luckily our colors just fit so well with that theme that it kind of worked well. So yeah, it was a really, Jorgie went above and beyond, and he went out and ordered some stuff off Amazon to make sure he looked the part. I kind of just did a DIY with what I had laying around, and it ended up turning out. So
I actually didn't hear about the theme. I was just heading to the gym after the award show, so I just wore what I was going to work out into the award show.
Right.
That's what I wear every day to Planet Fitness, actually. So
love that.
But no, I thought mine turned out good. And I didn't really need to buy anything. I got the headband and the wristbands and the socks, so I got the additional pieces. But that shirt I had was kind of a perfect like late '80s type Nike T-shirt.
That's right. I did get some of those wristbands from you guys, which that kind of completed the outfit. That definitely wrapped it together. But you looked great, Tom. You definitely looked the part. You look fit. I was kind of like scrambling. I'm texting Tom before, like, dude, what do I wear? Very, with great preparation. I'm texting him 2 days before the award show, like, what should I wear? And he sends me his outfit, and I'm like, dude, I can't compete with that. Like, that looks great. And then Jorgie comes in and one-ups him. So yeah, great content all around. Love to see it from the fellas.
I will say I felt cool. I knew I looked funny, and it is funny too because like we go in and I meet the manager of Rollerama and stuff, and I'm introduce myself, and I'm dressed somewhat nice. I have my hair all done. Then you walk in on film day, and I'm wearing that. It's like we're doing this. Is what it is. But
yep. Hey, thanks for having us.
Yep. But I think she got a kick out of it. So, but I thought I looked good.
Shout out Rollerama.
Absolutely.
I will just say, we've done a couple different venues now for the award show. The one I hosted was at Brighton Bowl, which, has been there since Tommy and I, grew up in Brighton. Rollerama is another one that battled through all the hard times. Like it is that place is, a testament to just like great small businesses. Like it has continued to improve. It looks completely different than when, Tommy and I were probably, young enough to go hang out there and rollerblade when we weren't filming MLW videos. But
we were there before.
I mean, that place was rocking. That place was awesome.
So
it was rocking.
For context, that place opens, it was a Saturday, and they open at noon on Saturdays. So they were nice enough to let us come in early to get our actual filming done on the award show portion of it. So we filmed that part where we did all the actual awards and the presentation from like 11 to noon. And then right when we wrapped it up, the place opened up and people started coming in and we were skating. So that worked out really nice, and I do appreciate them allowing us to do that. And yeah, I hadn't been on skates. Well, I had never, like I said, I had never roller skated before. I've roller bladed before. And I wouldn't say I'm a great roller blader. I mean, I'm okay. I can get from point A to point B. But roller skating I knew would be bad because I think the first time I ever went to Rollerama, Jack, when we were in like, I don't know, first, second grade, and we'd have those elementary school nights there at Rollerama.
Yeah.
I tried the skates first, and I was like, Mom, I'm not, like, I can't move in these things. So I switched to blades, and then I was cruising around. But just for the aesthetic, I wanted the skates this time around. I thought it would look funnier with my outfit, so I went with the skates. And I didn't look as cool as I thought I did out there. I'll tell you that much.
So are the skates the like double? They're like a wide.
The skates,
they have two wheels.
Two in the front, two in the back.
They have wheels on both sides.
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
Whereas a roller blade is 4 inline wheels, inline skates.
I gotta imagine the blade's probably a little bit more natural.
It's like ice skating, yeah. If you've ice skated before. Whereas roller skate, the non-inline skates, I don't know what the real technical term is. I think it's inline versus regular roller skates. I don't know, but those are tricky. And I hadn't been on roller skates or roller blades or ice skates in probably 4 or 5 years. And did I play into it a little bit? Yeah, but I will say probably the funniest thing that happened, Jack, was not on camera. And it was when I first laced up, got out on the rink, and I'm like a deer out of the womb. I can barely move out there. And so Jorgie and Drew, I think, were following me and like laughing at me trying to get going. And at some point I was like, how do you stop? And they're like, oh, just, I think those skates have the stopper on the front. So I was kind of like trying to coast down to speed. And then I started to almost do the splits and I like couldn't correct myself. So I was getting wider and wider for a second. And then I like overcompensated. And then I like clashed my feet together and I actually went down. I took a spill and then hit the wall on the far. I hit the wall on the far side and I actually hurt my neck. My neck seized up really bad for like 5 minutes. And I was like, I think I actually hurt myself. Gosh darn it.
Are you serious?
And I swear to God. And then I got up, kept going, but it wasn't like a bad fall. Like it was a somewhat of a graceful fall, but I went down hard and I hit my head and side on the wall, man.
Man, Tom.
I know. But
you got a good thing they made you sign a waiver.
I don't think I did sign anything, to be honest. But they're nice enough to host us. I won't come after them.
I didn't stick around to put my neck into the boards, unfortunately, but I do have one really funny memory. It's really a video from Rollerama, like way back in the day. I probably wouldn't be able to show you guys this because it's on like some sort of VHS tape or something that most of you listeners might not even know what that is. But This is like a home video, and I actually played it in a roller hockey league at Rollerama when I was very young. I was probably like, I don't know, I was maybe 7 years old. But for some reason, I'm not really sure why, but I was playing with kids that were older than me. Like they were like 3 or 4 years older than me. So that's a big gap in terms of growth and overall athletic ability, even at that young of an age. And this home video is just basically, if you've ever watched youth sports that have some sort of like, something like basketball, hockey, something where there's a ball that's moving around, like in free flowing. Lacrosse would be another example. What generally happens is everybody just crowds around the ball, right? There's no spacing. There's no concept of like spacing. They got to figure that out. So this home video is basically like the mass people, the players all coming from one frame of the video to the other. And then maybe like 5 to 10 seconds after that, a small person like half their size skates into the frame chasing after them. And that was me. And then it's just back and forth like that, like a cartoon, like literally like funny. A cartoon. So that was like one of my fond memories of Roller-Rama. But yeah, that place is bumping. And again, thank you for having us out there, Roller-Rama.
I would love to see that footage one day, Jack. There's some footage of me, I think, playing T-ball when I was probably like 3 or 4 years old, before coach pitches even offered. And my mom, I think, is filming on, some sort of camcorder that records probably the cassettes or whatever it is. And I'm like doing the potty dance, standing by third base, and it's like a perfect video. It's like a slowly zooming in video, and she goes, "I think he has to pee," and I'm like crossing my legs at third base. It's pretty funny. If I could ever find that, I'd definitely show you guys.
T-ball is classic. I got pictures of me in my T-ball uniform I would take my mitt and I would wear it as a hat, and then I would try to catch everything in the field with my hat, not my mitt, because I thought that was a good idea at the time. So there's a bunch of pictures of me out there looking like an idiot, but I didn't last very long in T-ball. And I never played baseball, so
yeah. But look at you now, Jack. Now you're still swinging it.
Look at me now.
We should go on.
Look at me now.
We should go on Instagram Live one day or something, and just like bring out an old scrapbook or a photo album of our younger days. It'd be fun, I think, to show people.
It would be pretty funny. It would be fun to see where we come from.
That's right.
Gotta know your roots.
Gotta know your roots, guys. Gotta know our roots, I should say. But let's get into this week's Cue of the Day. And thank you, fans. We got some submissions this week. So I'm bringing one from a fan, Jack. It's from Jordan Robinson. Jordan, thanks for the question. And he said, "What does an MLW team practice look like?" So, Jack, I know I had physical practices, as do other teams, and I would love to share about that. But I know you had a more unique practice schedule for the Magic squad this year, which seemed to work. So share with the audience what you and the Magic would do prior to game day.
Yeah, so obviously with everyone on our team being pretty spread out, it was really hard to coordinate practices. It's hard enough to coordinate everybody to get to the Meadows to play a series, let alone practices in between. So when you have kids from Ohio and kids in Michigan spread out all over the state, it's difficult. So really what we found a lot of value in was just holding these Zoom meetings, these team meetings before every series. And I'd kind of ask the guys like to individually, watch the other team if we had some other team, if there was film out on them already, and watch and just kind of bring, something to the meeting, like something that they noticed or saw or, picked up on. And I would kind of give my personal, input on the players that we were going up against because, half our team was new to this league. So for someone like RJ, he's watched YouTube videos of these players before, but he's never actually pitched against them. So I would kind of, give RJ some pointers as to like, hey, I've played this guy and, he likes these pitches or whatever. Like don't throw him this one, that type of thing. Guys like Grant were really helpful at, like I said, kind of breaking down the videos and, giving us tips too on what we could improve on. So it was really just like an open dialogue, and the end of it, I would kind of basically like lay out what my thought process and my plan was going into that series. So that would be everything from the batting lineup to the starting pitchers for each game, how I was viewing the series. And I pretty much would just put it open to discussion and say, do you guys agree with this, or do you guys not agree with this? And I think that led to, number one, like a lot of confidence for us when we showed up at the Meadows, because we already had talked about everything like before we got there. So we already had a plan, and I think that helps a lot, because I've had previous years in MLW where it's kind of like, you're not necessarily, at least for me, like I've been on teams where I'm not talking to the guys every single day, and then I see them at the Meadows and you're trying to catch up, and it's like, then you're trying to get ready for the series. So these meetings really helped like get out all the professional stuff beforehand. So then when we show up to the series, it's like, hey, we already got the professional plan. Like, how you doing? And we can catch up before the series gets going. And we didn't really hold team practices, but I will say, I want to give my guys credit. Everyone did a really good job at showing up early to the series, and we oftentimes would get live batting practice from Grant mostly, because he oftentimes wasn't planning on pitching, so we weren't worried about him like throwing before the game. So he did a really good job at just like getting our eyes warmed up to the speed and like the ball breaking like right before the series, which I think helps, because a lot of times, at least I feel like in the first game of the series, especially like in that first or second series of the season, you're sort of just getting used to the speed of MLW. Whether you play competitive wiffle ball or not, your rules are probably a little bit different everywhere. And like, it's all about timing. So it takes a few games and sometimes a few series to like get ready for that. So I think, the prep before showing up and then showing up early, like paid dividends throughout the season.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate that. If you don't mind me asking, Jack, what was the average attendance rate at your pregame Zoom meetings?
I would say, if we had
six players,
six guys on our team, I would say all of them we had at least 4 people there.
Okay.
Most of them we had all of us.
Okay, nice, cool. Well, for me, a little bit different. I do too have guys scattered across Michigan. I have Robles in New York, obviously, so there's definitely some challenges there for getting practices done. Robles and I would always get to the Meadows early because I have to be there early to get things set up. So him and I would get a lot of practice in on the actual day of the game. But the routine we kind of settled into on the Mallards was every Thursday evening. The 4 that would meet or would try to meet would typically be myself, Matt Carlington, Caden Irwin, and Brendan Davenport. Because us 4 kind of live within, if we meet at a central location, we're all about a half-hour drive to that center point. So we found a local park. It's in Milan, Michigan. And I think the longest drive for anybody is like 40 minutes, which is me. And so we would get there, and we wouldn't do anything too like crazy, to be honest. It would be everyone gets a round or 2 of BP to get loose, and then we would just switch off who pitches to the other 3 for like an inning. So I'd pitch an inning, then Caden would throw an inning, then Matt would throw an inning, then Davenport would throw an inning. So really trying to replicate gameplay. Now, or game at bats, I should say. In terms of defense, typically, yes, we would have guys out there shagging for BP, which is good just to catch balls and do ground balls, stuff like that. But we weren't playing like live defense during these practices, Jack. And I think that showed a little bit. Our defense was sloppy this year, and it's hard to replicate those reps, whereas Jimmy always says that in his practices they do more defensive work. So I don't know if I think he might be also doing larger scrimmages because he has a lot of his friends that play, and he has guys from the Wildcats that are by him too, like Saylor. So that was difficult, and I think it did show a little bit. But in terms of getting the at-bats and I always try to get everybody, like, take it pretty serious, like, act like this is a game, put some pressure on yourself. And I think I know it helped me, and I would like to think that it helped others too. So that's what we did, and it also kept kind of all of our arms fresh, and we always would, like, we'd use a certain ball for one inning, then we'd switch balls, so we were adjusting to different balls for different, you never know what you're going to get on game day, right? So I tried to replicate that a little bit by using different balls. And we'd also throw baseballs before we got into the BP of the wiffle ball. So keep our bodies in shape, keeps our arms in shape. And it was honestly fun. Like, it was a grind getting out there for me. So busy during the summer months, trying to run the operation. But it was, in my opinion, because also, part of this operation is putting a good product out there. So I don't want to just show up and go through the motions when I'm playing. So it was well worth the time spent, in my opinion. And we had a good time doing it too. So,
like you said, the true gameplay is so hard to replicate. Number one, number two, to be able to get together as a team, like you guys were saying, or at least trying to every Thursday. I mean, that's
it wasn't
incredible.
every Thursday. Let's be honest, it wasn't. But it was probably close to. It was probably close to every third at most.
But
a couple times a month.
Even so, we, like I just said, we held none. But with that being said, I would be reaching out to the guys individually, also kind of in our group chat, and just like reminding them, like, stay active, like do something a little bit. I know, Trevor and Jordan, obviously, they probably, have some games and practices with Jorgensen and Chadwick and all those guys who still live close to them. And Grant, he's playing in another wiffle ball league throughout, so he's staying sharp on his own. And then, I got RJ sending me, pitching videos and the lights on in his driveway because it's dark out. Like I knew that they were, putting in the work on their own. And like, I think that's kind of like, we at least try to be a professional organization, and right, like professional organizations, they practice. And if you want to be a professional, if we're not able to organize practices, like you got to be able to put some work in on your own. And I'll probably be the first to say, out of everyone on our team, I probably did the least amount of work outside of MLW. And that's just like a testament to the guys on the team, like how hard they worked individually.
Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, there you go, Jordan. There's your answer. Thanks for asking the question. And if you guys have a question of your own, please DM it to us at Pipe It Up MLW on Instagram, or leave a comment down below on the video. Thanks for all the comments last week, Jack. As of right now, last week's podcast has 111 comments. That's crazy.
Wow,
that's including, I responded to almost all of them. I've been doing a good job of that, or trying to at least, interacting with all you guys. But 111 comments, triple digits on the last pod. Crazy.
Unreal. And I hear that the numbies are up on the views too on the last video.
Numbies are up. We're eating steak this week, Jack.
Momentum. Let's do it. Come on, keep this train rolling, fellas.
For sure. I'm bringing a comment of the week to the show for the first time in several episodes. This one was too good to not read out loud. It comes from @MPierce34 on YouTube, and he said, "The most dedicated winner couldn't even be bothered to show up to get his trophy. I love this league." Thanks for your comment. It is ironic how that works, but as Kyle said, Casey actually relocated himself to the state of Michigan from Illinois for the summer to play in the league, and he currently goes to school at the University of Missouri in Columbia, Missouri. So he did not make the 12-hour drive to get his trophy in person, and I can forgive him for that, Jack.
Yeah, I will forgive him as well. That another well-earned award. I said on the podcast that my vote for most dedication was to you, Tom, but I think Casey very much earned that award.
I got some votes.
He's been very dedicated ever since he joined MLW, and you can just tell he cares so much about the league. So hats off to Casey. Definitely forgiven for not coming to Roller-Rama to collect his award.
Wish we would have had him there, but he was here in spirit with us.
Wish we would have, yeah. Of course.
All right, well, let's wrap it up. The only appropriate way to do it, let's get into our NFL Weekly speech, talking about Lions football. I do have one thing I want to say, Jack.
What's that?
So I said to myself that I wasn't going to shave until the Lions lost, right?
Right.
And the Lions have lost, and I have no words for that particularly. But I will say, on a more lighthearted note, I am getting all this propaganda, from my friends and family and in the comment section saying, Tom, don't shave, it looks great, yada, yada, yada. And, you and I, we keep it real. We keep it real. And you've told me before, don't wear this, you should wear that, you look good in this, you look good in that. And I'm like, Jack, you got a booger in your nose. We keep it real, you and I.
Yeah, we
do.
And
so I just need you to keep it real with me right now. Is it crooked right now?
No.
Okay, good. Might be. Who knows? You're at a bad angle right now. Jack's down here right now. So I need you to look at me and keep it real with me and say, does it need to go or can it stay? What do you think? Honestly speaking, you got to keep it real.
I think in spirit, with what you said about when you would shave it, you have every right to shave it, but I do think it really looks great, and it does fit you. It's starting to really fill in, and I almost think you should double down and not shave it until we win an NFC championship.
Wow.
And put that out there.
And that's keeping it real. Okay. If you're a 49ers fan or a Chiefs fan, good luck to you. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Jackson Pearson has a little brother named Brady. We will see you all next week.
Pipe it up.